How's it going, everyone? TM Trav here with ESO Tips, the place to go for all things Elder Scrolls Online. Today we're going to talk about ESO Guild Traders. I'll be going over what a guild trader is, where to find them, how to price your items, how to use a trader, and which traders will get you the most sales. By the end of this video, you'll be well on your way to building that hoard of gold you've always wanted. Let's jump right in. So, most of you probably already know what a guild trader is. But for all you new players out there, or for anyone who just hasn't had much experience with trading in ESO, essentially guild traders are places where you can list your items for sale, or buy items that other players have listed. When you list an item on a guild trader, you're charged a small listing fee. Then, after your item sells, the guild that owns the trader takes a modest cut off the top, and the remaining gold is mailed to you. The guild's cut is then put toward the next week's bid to keep the trader, which can often be upwards of 1 million gold. As a matter of fact, in some of the bigger cities like Mournhold and Wayrest, traders can even go for 20 million gold or more each week. That is one heck of a lot of cornflour, folks. Guild traders are pretty easy to find if you know where to look. If you're just looking for a trader to buy from, you can go to any major city and find this icon. Typically, cities will have several traders all clustered in one area. You can also find individual traders out in the wilds in pretty much any zone. I usually try to purchase from a trader owned by one of my own guilds if possible, as it helps us win the next week's trader bid. If you're looking to list an item at your guild's trader, you can either go directly to that trader or to any city's banker. We'll use the banker method in this video, as it's generally the most convenient option. Alright, so before we get into how to list an item, I'll go over pricing. Figuring out what price to use when putting up your item for sale can be a complex topic, but I have a few tips for you that will hopefully serve to simplify your price analysis. First, if you took the advice I gave in my last video, then you're hopefully a member of a guild that has a price checker embedded in their Discord or band server. I'll link that video in the description if you haven't had a chance to check it out, but for now, I'll show you how the price checker works in the DOT server. So I'll just scroll down here to the crafting area and click on the price check channel. Then I'll type /price to bring up the command. Then I'll type in the item I'm checking and hit enter. It's that simple. As you can see here, this motif has a median price of about 10k and an average price of just over 11k. I like to list my items somewhere in between the median and the average. I don't really have a specific reason for doing it that way, but it seems to work well and will usually result in a sale for me. If you don't have access to a price checker on Discord, another option is Tamriel Trade Center. You just choose your region, select the device you play on, then type in your item. I've found that it's best to click the suggested text when it comes up to be sure that your search goes through correctly. And here's the downside to Tamriel Trade Center. There aren't many item listings for console, and the listings that are on here are usually pretty old. As you can see, I'm searching for some items that are traded fairly often in-game, and the listings are few and far between. You could choose to look at PC prices, which will usually give you a sort of ballpark price to use on console, but PC prices can often be vastly different from those on Xbox and PlayStation. For these reasons, I highly recommend joining a guild that uses a pricing bot associated with your chosen game server. While there are a few other online options, I've found the Discord price checker to be the easiest and most consistent method. If for some reason you're having trouble with either of these methods, maybe the item you're trying to sell doesn't come up because it's a brand new drop, then there is one other method you can use, although it's not as cut and dry. When I'm in this sort of situation, I simply go from trader to trader in a few major cities to see what my item is being listed for by other players. I'll then take an average of those prices to determine how I list my item. Once you've figured out the approximate value of your item, there are a few secondary strategies you can use based on how soon you want the item to sell. For example, if you don't necessarily need the gold right away, you could list your item on the higher end of the estimates to get as much for it as possible. On the other hand, if you're really scrounging for cash, you could undercut the estimates and hopefully sell quickly. Okay, so now that we've gotten pricing out of the way, I'll show you how to list an item for sale. First, you'll go to a banker. It does have to be a stationary banker. You can't access guild traders on portable bankers, unfortunately. Fingers crossed for Zos to give that to us in a future update. After you talk to the banker, Select the Guild Store option. Before trying to list your item, make sure you have the right guild selected by pressing Y. Next, use your right bumper to switch to the Sell tab. As you can see, I am slacking with only 5 out of 30 slots filled on this trader. You really want to try to keep all of your slots filled to maximize your gold making potential. Now you'll want to scroll through your inventory and find the item you're planning to list. I'll go ahead and choose this Welkin Swords motif, since we already have an idea of how much it's worth. I'm going to put it up for 11k because I'm not really strapped for gold at the moment, but I still want to make sure it sells. Here's a little bonus tip for you though. Always end your prices in 9.9. This might be a little petty, but as you can see, the house cut and the listing fee both go down by 1 gold when I do this, meaning I'll get 1 more gold for listing it this way. 1 gold is obviously not going to break the bank, but over thousands or tens of thousands of transactions, it adds up. So which traders will get you the most sales? Well, those 20+ mil traders don't command that kind of gold for no reason. Traders in cities like Mournhold, Wayrest, and Elden Root are going to get you the most consistent sales, but keep in mind that guilds that own these traders are almost invariably going to charge weekly dues in exchange for access to them. Honestly though, I get plenty of sales without listing my items in those locations. I've found that, as long as the guild trader you're using is in a cluster with at least 4 to 5 others and is close to a way shrine, you won't have any problem selling. If you're a guild master watching this and you're not sure which trader to bid on, think about it in terms of convenience for your buyers. More people are going to visit traders that are conveniently located 3 or 4 steps away from where they load in. And the more people who visit your trader, the more sales you're going to receive. Well, that's it for this video. Shout out to BeastJerry22, the Brew Crew, and the Dynasty of Tamriel Guild. Also, huge shout out to all my subscribers. I'm really humbled by the support you guys are sending my way. If you found this video helpful, please consider leaving a like, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel to keep up with my future ESO content. Thanks for watching, and bye for now.